I'm in a beautiful chapel. I don't know if you realize this tiny, small chapel in the middle of Melbourne, right in front of the Melbourne Cathedral. This is the Mary MacKillop Heritage Centre Chapel. Saint Mary MacKillop, our Australian saint, lived here, worked here. This was a place that she came to serve. This was the place where she built this house surrounding this chapel for people, young women who were destitute, who were abandoned in 1901. I'm over here surrounded by relics, her hair, first-class relics over here. And I have a close affinity to Mary MacKillop. Why? Because she's an Australian saint, but also because she was canonized a week before my ordination in Rome. It was such a beautiful experience to have her canonized so close to when I was ordained. So I kind of adopted her as well as my saint to pray for me in my vocation. But this is what we talk about. It's about service. Mary MacKillop was someone who served people, who wanted nothing more than to educate, to serve, to bring dignity to people who needed dignity. And this is the heart of Jesus. But sometimes it's God who looks at us and wants to serve us and wants to love us. But we, like Peter, find it so hard to be loved and served. This is what the cross is about. It's about allowing God to serve us. A few years ago, I was a carer for one of my priest friends, Father Chris. Now, Father Chris was dying of cancer. And I became his carer, and he came to live with me, and we spent a lot of time together. Now, Chris and I would, before this, have taken a lot of holidays together. He was a guy who was just full of life and loved to love and serve people. But all of a sudden, he gets sick and he gets cancer, and he finds himself unable to attend to his own needs. He starts with radiotherapy and starts to get scars everywhere, and he can't tend to his own wounds. And he didn't ask for help to the point where his wounds started to get infected. But eventually he allowed himself to be served as we tended to those wounds, cleaned those wounds. And of course, after that, he had chemotherapy and he started to get weak and tired. And he wouldn't be able to take himself to the bathroom, take himself to have a shower. And so he had to depend on others. And it was so hard for him to allow others to love him, because his whole life he loved and served others. Sometimes it is harder to let people love us than it is to love others. Sometimes it is harder to let others wash our feet than it is for us to wash the feet of others. Well, this is what Jesus wants us to stop and to do. He wants us to be loved and served, because really, Father Chris, he became a saintly man when all of a sudden he had no choice but to let people love and serve him. Because God knows that it is through service we become holy, but it is also through allowing others to serve us that we become humble. And this is what God calls us. That's the first step of holiness, and that is humility. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to have a moment. We're going to have a moment to wash each other's feet. And I know some of you might not be comfortable even in doing this. Maybe you're at home and you'd like to try this. Grab a bowl, grab some water, maybe warm it up if it's cold, and wash each other's feet as a family. This is the time to serve one another, to love one another. If you're in a nursing home, maybe you'd like to have the nurses wash your feet, or you would like to wash the feet of those around you. Why? It's not because we need cleaning, it's because we need humility. We need to serve others, but we also need to allow others to serve us. So in this moment, I'm going to get my cameraman, Josh, I'm going to wash his feet, and then he's going to wash my feet as a gesture. And as we do this, I invite you also, as Jesus did, to do the same.